Hello and welcome to Topsin. My name is William Lebowski, and today we are here at Bathurst, Mount Panorama in Australia. And I know it is so close to the Daytona recreation race, but just as the calendar works out, this is when Bathurst came up on the schedule. And wow, I was expecting it to be a little bit too soon in terms of attention span from Daytona to really give full attention to this race. And while I probably could have spent more hours with my butt in a seat watching the race, I thoroughly enjoyed the race experience from Bathurst this year. It was incredible. The racing from beginning to end was very good the entire time. They got very aggressive very early. Maybe one of those things where they got a little bit too aggressive too quickly, a couple cars going out pretty early, especially that Audi factory car went out really early in the race, and so that was a little bit of a shame. But of course, as a spectator, it was very exciting, and of course, just seeing that sunrise, I feel like it was particularly beautiful this edition of the race. And I think it's one of those things where it's a little bit of a shame that the Bathurst 12-hour was just invented as late as it was. It became a thing as late as it was, just because if Daytona hasn't been around for as long as it was, I think Bathurst would probably be a much bigger race, just because it's so interesting to go from Daytona, which is a relatively simple track. I mean, not to say it isn't technical. If you really want to nail it and have that highest level of speed, of course, it requires that technicality in your racecraft, of course, but it is a simple road course of a very big oval. And Bathurst is, kind of the opposite of that track, where it is somewhat of an oval, right? I mean, all racetracks you could argue, are circles, but anyway, you're going up and down the giant mountain, and you're not staying on that flat Daytona, Florida sand, and so it's just a completely different race, a completely different battle, and because of that, it's just nice to have them bookended right next to each other. Of course, my Bathurst 12-hour experience, my real-life sim race that a couple weeks ago I had with the team, the 12-hour Bathurst, and it did not go well at all. It was actually slated to be a really, really big race day for me, being the Bathurst 12-hour, and then in the middle of that, between stints, I had a 2-hour Brands Hatch race, and then at the end of the day, I had a solo 1.2-hour ACC Bathurst race to take part in. It was supposed to be this big marathon of racing that I had planned for. I was really excited about it, but everything in every single race fell apart. To start the race, I had to wake up at 4 a.m. for the driver's briefing, and so getting just that little amount of sleep, being up at 4 a.m. for a driver's briefing that, I forget exactly why. I mean, it was 4 a.m. I was hardly paying attention, and it was in another language, and so they were trying to do both languages, and it didn't really work out, and they ended up canceling the idea of the whole driver's briefing, which is fine, if you didn't wake up at 4 a.m. for it. But anyway, I had to wake up for that, and then there was a big gap between that and then quali, and then between quali and the race, and then the race not starting on time and having to start it a couple times over. So technically it wasn't going that smoothly, and then my stint went through. I made, if I recall right, I made two mistakes that ended up being pretty costly, and then my teammate got in the car and their pedals broke. Then I got sick and I was in the bathroom for the remainder of that race, and then it caused me to miss my 2-hour Brands Hatch race, and then later I did do that 1.2-hour Bathurst race solo later that night on ACC, but I was just in that fog of feeling sick and gross, and I didn't perform well there either. Within the first 20 minutes, I think, of that race, I got into an incident on top of the mountain, and being that as I was prepared for an R Factor 2 race jumping into Bathurst on ACC was a completely different ball game, and so, yeah, it was just a bit of a failure of a time, but I'm glad that I was able to have a recreation and have now a pleasant memory here at Bathurst, both from the live race and both now from this race here. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the show. That's all for me, and it's all for the pre-recorded me, and enjoy the live race. All right, the sun is up. We are here at Bathurst. Not going to make a move into turn 1 there. I don't know why I even lined that up, because I find that turn 1 is an awful place to try to make moves here, just because you're on such an important straight, both for positioning and timing and track position, all that. I lost so much just by coming down and making that move. As you can see now, we're kind of even trailing further back. Ooh, Porsche way out of line going over the curb in front of me. Oh,
Speaking of us getting out of line over the curb, rather, speaking of them going out of line over the curb, we go out of line over the curb. I want to get back up to this Audi in front of us so badly. Ooh, I love coming up the mountain here. I love just seeing, had a huge lift there, but I was just about to say I love seeing how long I can go flat up the mountain, no matter what sim it is. Just love going for that. ACC is the hardest to make that happen. Line choice, setup, and car has to be right to do it in the ACC, but the Bimmer is capable of doing it. Whoa. Keep it tight. Oh, as we head down to Conrad, getting off the mountain here, just losing that final bit of elevation, finally back on the rear bumper here. Let's see, we're about 2 seconds away from second place, which isn't a huge margin. As we look to the inside already, oh, it's early. Hit the curb. They're not gonna say goodbye to this position so early. Kind of covered off their position there a little bit. Kind of took away the track position that they would have needed to make that pass on us here, but now I just have the tall order of catching up now to the podium places in the final 8 minutes of this race, 8.5 minutes, depending on how that'll break down. That'll add, I guess it will add an extra lap, considering where we just crossed the finish line. But anyway, we're looking pretty good here. We just got, if we want to fight for that win, that's a pretty big distance away. We're definitely looking at a podium contention here. The important factor with Bathurst, and it's the one that I missed out on my real attempt at my Bathurst 12-hour attempt for this year, was to have the consistency to be able to go over the mountain for 12 hours. Let's see. Ooh, thought I was going to be in the wall there for sure. All right, halfway through here. I guess I got the timing a little bit wrong because the sun should be well up over the mountain at this point. But the great thing about the Bathurst 12-hour that I think makes it different than many other races of its time. Whoa, big contact in front of us. Oh, and we hit the wall too. Kind of knocked us off our line at a certain point. Anyway, the great thing about the Bathurst 12 hours is you see that amazing sunrise. And most races like Sebring, Petit Le Mans, sorry, went a little brain dead there trying to think of races and concentrate at the same time. Usually start during the day or morning and end in the nighttime. And this is one of those rare exceptions where you always get that beautiful sunrise shining onto the mountain because they finish during the day way early on the brakes there. I'm just trying to play it a little bit safe there after making a mistake. But that is not going to be the way to do it if we do want to win this race. Look at this golden hour. Look at this golden hour. Okay, I do certainly want a podium position. So in order to make that happen, we do have to move up. We gotta stop yo-yoing. Let's crack down on him a little bit. I thought that curb was gonna send me spinning a little bit, or send me at least loose a little bit. Oh no. Okay. Speaking of not yo-yoing anymore, we're now right in front of Kevin Vanderlyn. And we are pretty sizable chunk away from the cars in front of us. And now we are blind. Okay. We're recovering. I will say, I think it's time to officially readjust our expectations. I think that officially has cost us first place. I think that that is no longer a possibility mathematically unless first place has an accident. So I think it's important now just to focus on what we can do, and what we can do is finish on the second step of that podium still. So let's just keep our belief strong. Our race is not over. And even such, anything can happen to that guy in front. It's the Bathurst 12 hour, and there's a whole 4 minutes left. Or if we want to be a little cheeky, we could pretend that we have 4 hours left in this race. Depending on how immersed you are at any given time. But 4 minutes left. We're looking at about 2 laps. We do have to get on our pony here. If we want to make something happen, we got to send it into a corner. We got to catch up to the bumper, and then we're going to have to send another couple positions. So hopefully up through the mountain this time, we can get close. And then depending on what happens on the straight, we'll see where we can start making moves. Because it is getting to that point in the race where the clock is running out. Still yo-yoing a little bit. We can... It's the difference between getting to the bumper, holding the bumper, and making the pass. It seems like we can get to the bumper. Now let's see if we can hold the bumper. There's just some key areas where I don't want to be too close, and heading into the dipper is one of them. But if I'm not close into the dipper, you can just see what it costs you. All right, we gotta start setting this up better for ourselves. In the next couple corners, we gotta get a pass done. Uh-oh, we're getting a nice run, aren't we? We schnaw. All right, one more. All right, Nikki, you're going down. That was smooth. There we go. There we go. Okay. We're sitting in a podium spot. Let's not get greedy. Let's wait for our perfect time. Let's hold the bumper. Let's wait for an opportunity that suits us. Of course, we know it's better to be ahead over the mountain, but it does leave you vulnerable at other areas on the track. Going through the outside here is not the best move, but we had an opportunity, and I think we needed to take it. Not optimal entry. It really compromised our entry there to make that happen. But luckily, we've made that stick. All right, so now we don't have any worry about what's in front of us as we go over the mountain here and head off the mountain. Just barely in eyesight first place. I like to drop down into first for the dipper. Probably went way too slow through there. Yeah, because I think that was the difference between having eyesight on first place and first place just walking away with this victory. Bringing it home for Lexus, which is, has that ever happened before in the history of the Bathurst 12 hour? Has a Lexus ever won this? Maybe I'm showing a huge amount of ignorance. But the final 34 seconds. Looks like we got a nice cluster of cars behind us. It looks like maybe the remainder of between the top 5 and 10. Okay, I can't. Why am I trying to focus on getting how many people are behind me when I need to just focus on the race ahead of me? The final 17 seconds. It looks like we might start another lap. I think we're gonna have one more lap. Yeah, well, there we go. We just made it back to the start-finish line in time, especially the leader. I think they're starting to get a little bit closer. They are 2.8 seconds out. I wonder, is it possible? I would assume that something would have to, a huge mistake from them would have to happen in order for me to even have a remotely possible chance at making this happen. I was really, I contemplated picking the Merc just because of how dominant the Mercs were at the Bathurst 12 Hour this year. But man, this Lexus is really stealing the show. How in the world did I get up into 6th gear? Whoa. Just lost it. What if we lost it going over the mountain on our last lap? All right, that was quicker through the dipper for sure. Still managed to getting down to 1st gear for control as well. Oh, way late on that brake. We did claw back, what, 0.6? 6 tenths? Now we're up to 7 tenths that we've clawed back on that guy in front. So, I mean, it was a huge gap, probably insurmountable to overcome, realistically speaking. But we did claw back some time. Whoops. Not whoops. It looked like it was going to be a whoops. Felt like it was going to be a whoops, but it turned out actually to be not bad. We lost our fastest lap. No, we still have it. Wow, that lap is faster than when I was anticipating running, but still not a very good lap. But that is the Bathurst 12 Hours. We're taking home a podium position, 2nd place, silver. Tastes so good. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Let me know what you guys thought of the Bathurst 12 Hour this year, and we'll see you in the next one.